Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. I want to welcome you to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we talk to the leading technology providers, agencies, and consultants in customer, channel, and brand loyalty about the technology trends and best practices that impact a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, enhance engagement, and most importantly, impact customer loyalty. Loyalty Live allows for a deeper assessment of the state of customer loyalty as Loyalty360 surfaces a number of challenges that we see from our brand members. And these Loyalty Live sessions allow for these very talented consultants and technology partners to address them in a very unique manner. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Bill Schneider, who's the Vice President of Product Marketing for SheerID. Bill actually will be speaking at the upcoming Loyalty Expo in Charlotte in September 19th to 21st. So Bill, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We'd like to start these on a more personal basis to get to know those who we're speaking with, a little bit about them, kind of their history, educational history, work history, and maybe a little bit about what you do at SheerID. So would love to know a little bit more about your history, background, and what you do at SheerID.
Sure. Well, let's see. So, I love technology and I love products. I've been in the B2B tech space now for a little over 20 years. And I've had the chance to be a part of some major trends in that time. It's really amazing how you can change the world with a little bit of code. At the turn of the century, back in 2000, I was part of the web analytics movement. I worked for a company called Web Trends. We brought to the world how a JavaScript tag could tell you all these amazing things about what your customers were doing on your website so you could serve them better. And then when the iPhone came out, I worked for a mobile engagement company called Urban Airship, now called Airship. They brought push notifications to the world and really championed this idea of allowing brands to create engagement moments wherever their customers were. And now I work for a company called SheerID, who helps brands reward specific consumer communities with special offers and really taps into this power of marketing to consumers based off their identity. The common thread among all my stints is how do you get to know and serve your customers better with technology? And, feel really privileged that I've been able to work with companies that have been on these major trends at each step of the way.
Okay, great. Fun fact, something you enjoy outside of working at these cutting edge companies. Do you like to parasail? Do you like to deep sea dive? Do you run marathons? Do you have 14 kids? What's a fun fact?
Well, I'll give you two fun facts. One fun fact that you might know, and you'll notice at me at the show, is that I'm probably taller than most people.
Okay.
So if you see somebody that's tall bobbing along with his head bobbing along at the top of the crowd, that's probably me. Another fun fact, if you do run into me, we can get one question out of the way, which is I've never played basketball. And then a third fun fact we were talking about as we're getting ready for the call here is I have a dog. He loves to run. I love to run. We do a lot of running up here in Forest Park in Portland, Oregon. It's a great 1,000-acre park where we hit the trails.
Okay. Excellent. When you look at customer loyalty, very important, growing of importance to brands, we always like to understand how brands, the agencies, technology partners define customer loyalty. How at SheerID do you define customer loyalty?
That's a great question. And loyalty is getting harder to come by because consumers have infinite choice. I define loyalty as simply someone who repeatedly chooses your brand over other alternatives. It's that simple.
Okay. That's awesome. I like simplicity. Simplicity is good. When you look at strategies or best practices that are working now, what are some of the strategies you see that you're putting into practice at SheerID that can help brands drive deeper connection with their customers?
Yeah, I think the main thing there, particularly what you were talking about, is deeper connection. And one of the things that has been really interesting as I've worked here at SheerID, and I've seen this time and again in working with brands, is the power of connecting with somebody based off of how they identify. And what I mean by that is the groups that they belong to, right? If they are a student or a teacher or a member of the military or any other type of professional life stage, that has a very meaningful aspect to that individual. And when brands reward and recognize people for the groups that they belong to, they see much greater engagement, and they see longer lifetime value, because people feel special, they feel honored, and that's really the thing that we're looking for when we're trying to drive loyalty, is creating that emotional connection.
Okay. When you look at privacy, it's a big impact with brands right now. GDPR, CCPA, CDPA, and other states are considering it. And most brands, when they're impacted, they kind of take the most restrictive kind of tenant they can find. So when you look at the privacy regulations that are out there and growing, how are some ways that brands and companies can still be collecting that zero and first party data that they need to drive, personalization and customer loyalty efforts?
Yeah, this is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart, so to speak. Right, like I mentioned, I've worked in the web analytics space and also mobile engagement space in the past, and now in the identity space. The most important thing here is that the consumer has a direct understanding of how their data is being used and where they have control over that data. So it has to be opt-in, right? There has to be an incentive for the consumer to share that information. And with that in mind, there has to be a clear value exchange, right? And that's one of the things that we practice here at SheerID, is that we provide brands a way to create a personalized offer to a specific group. The person shares some very basic information about who they are to demonstrate that they are eligible for the offer. We verify that data, and then they get access to the reward. And so in that, there is a clear value exchange where the consumer gets the reward, and the brand obviously drives a sale and also collects very valuable data for repeat marketing.
Okay, great. So you have a session coming up at the Loyalty Expo, how to earn long-term loyalty in a world of economic uncertainty. Can you share a brief overview of the session and what you plan on presenting to the attendees?
Sure. Really looking forward to the session and seeing everyone there. I'm going to be sharing the stage with Stephanie Borman, who is the VP of Global Marketing at Molecule. And we're going to be talking about things like, how to create digital conversations that make an impact, how to collect data that is meaningful to the customer, how to build programs that generate word of mouth, and ultimately develop personalization programs that build trust, which really is the foundation of loyalty. And that's all wrapped into this container of the environment that we find ourselves in right now with the current economy and the uncertainty that many of us are feeling, both at a personal level, but also at a business level.
What are a few key takeaways attendees can expect to learn in your session?
Yeah, so we are going to cover a lot of different topics. One of them is going to be around how to capture actionable first and zero-party data from customers by using the right incentives. We'll talk about things like how to engage and reactivate dormant loyalty members with personalized offers. We'll also talk about how you can build your loyalty member base by tapping into community networks to generate word of mouth. So there's going to be a lot of rich discussion around those topics, and using the power of identity in your marketing to really make an impact and create an emotional connection with your customer base.
Excellent. Well, Bill, thank you very much for talking with us today. Definitely, there's a growing interest in, obviously, concern around privacy, but making sure you have the ability to drive personalization. So I'm sure those who are attending the conference will be very interested in your session, and look forward to meeting you in person. A tall guy who doesn't play basketball, I think.
That's right. Thanks, Mark.
All right, great.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening as well, and looking forward to seeing those of you who are coming to the Expo in a couple of weeks. Have a wonderful day.